Good to know Shabbos, everybody. Ephraim Schwartz here, calling you from my office in the incredible city of Carmiel here in Eretz Yisrael. And it has been a fantastic week, getting ready to write my next column, or middle of my next column for Mishpacha magazine. Get ready for the Tu B'Shvat edition. And you'll get a chance to look at that. And also, yesterday was my birthday, and so thank you to those in advance who have sent me happy birthday wishes. And for those that will, Amir Hashem, send me happy birthday wishes once you listen to this video. And in honor of the upcoming new fiscal year, at least, that is approaching this week, and in honor of my birthday, I decided that we're going to try something new, go for a new opportunity to those of you that are enjoying our weekly videos that have been going on for a little over a year now. And that is that we're going to try to offer sponsorships. So you can send me a donation of your choice. $10, $18, $54, $1,800, $18,000, whatever it is, 30, whatever amount you'd want. My birthday is actually 51, so you can do that amount as well. And we will dedicate our weekly Parsha video that right now probably goes, at least is watched probably about close to, I would say, over 100 people, if not more, every week, between my YouTube video, from the WhatsApp group that we send it out to, from my email, from the Facebook page that it puts on. So this is really a way to become our partner in the Torah that we're sharing, to help us support our work over here. It's been a rough year financially for the shul, for us personally, and certainly in tour guiding and as well, although we've seen a lot of bracha. And so this is your chance, your opportunity. If you'd like, let's see how many people can respond and join us in having this chus, sharing in the merit of sharing Torah from Eretz Yisrael every single week with this video link. So thank you in advance for that. And on that note, let's get to this week's Parsha. Parsha's Vaeira, an incredible Parsha, probably the most dramatized Parsha in the entire Torah, that everybody knows the story. We've all seen the movie, The Ten Commandments, and Baruch Hashem, we know the story. Now, I have to ask you, which one of the plagues would you say stands out the most? For most of us, I would say frogs would be our knee-jerk reaction. Maybe some people say the plague of darkness, the firstborns. Interestingly enough, Hashem really takes makes chooses, I would say, his most important plague. And it's interesting that it's not necessarily the way you would seem, right? The plague is actually the plague of Barad. And Hashem says, by Barad, I'm doing something different. Ki bepam hazos ani sholech es kol ma gefosai el libecha ubavdecha ubamecha bavor taida ki ein kamoni baras. This time, I'm doing something different. Right, so Barad, the plague of hail, the plague when you have snow and fire and water and all coming together and destroying everything in Egypt. Hashem says this is the time that you're going to see something different. Interestingly enough, Rashi says, "Lamadnu mikan." I'm going to take all of my stuff and throw it at you. Mikan shemakas bechoros shkula keneged hamaklamakos. That the plague of the firstborns is against all of the other plagues. And of course, that's a troubling Rashi, because we're not talking about Bechoros over here, the firstborn. We're talking about Barad. And so why is Rashi even bringing that in over here? Different commentaries take different approaches to explaining Rashi. Some of them, I think there's a Gon that says that it's really said Mem Beis, right, which was Machas Barad, but the person that translated the acronym wrote Makas Bechoros instead. I've seen that idea brought down. The Orachaim, others suggest that this is the Ibn Ezra, that this is really the beginning of the third and last wave of plagues that concludes with Makas Bechoros, meaning the first three, the Tzach Adash, is the plagues that are under the ground. The second plagues are the ones that are on the ground coming from here, and this is already starting from the heavens. This is the sky, hail, locusts, darkness, and then the plague. Well, those are all from Hashemayim. So this really starts the wave of the plagues that are coming from Shemayim, and that's why now the game is changing. Right? And Makas Barad, the game is changing. And I'd like to just take a few little notes about it, because I think it's important for us to understand what changes by Makas Barad, the plague of hail. And we're going to see a theme, I think, that follows through in a few different places. The word that kept jumping out at me, at least, right? It says, Hashem's doing this because I'm going to bring all of my plagues to your heart. Right, and you should know that Ulam Bavur Zosem Maraticha, the reason why you're still around, Paro, Bavur Har Oscha Es Kochi, in order to show you, right? My strength. Ulaman sapesh me b'chalaretz. So this is about showing power laharoscha. But the word yaroscha means something else as well. Haroscha is yira, to fear God. And that notion of fearing really plays over here in ways that we've never seen before. Because here it says, for the first time we have a plague, it says, Hayare es dvar Hashem, whoever will fear the word of Hashem from the servants of Paro, they will bring their cattle into their houses, and then the hail won't wipe out their cattle. Okay, so if you fear Hashem, you're going to bring your cattle inside. Now, I want to ask you a question. Is that a matter of being God-fearing? Is that a sign of God-fearingness? I mean, I've got a lot of stuff outside. It's going to rain. The weather report says it's going to rain. Now, I don't know for sure if it's going to rain or not because the weather report, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. But to be safe, I'll take it in. And I'll make sure my windows are closed. Why is it a sign of God-fearingness, right, that's going to be making them bring their cattle inside? Okay, and now then, if somebody is not God-fearing, right, or if somebody leaves his things outside, right? So what is that person called? Va'asher loy sam libo. Somebody that is not placing his heart. He's not thinking about it, right? Of Dvar Hashem, that you're not really focused on the word of Hashem. And he then he would leave his stuff in the field. So we have almost two opposite extremes that I would say are not related to one another. We have the God-fearing person on one hand. So you would say, what's the opposite of a God-fearing person? Somebody that doesn't fear God. A sinner, perhaps. Right? And then we have, on the one hand, we have somebody that doesn't pay much attention to anything, right? And then you say somebody that does, vasher some libo, right? But that's not what the Torah does. You're either God-fearing or you're somebody that is totally checked out. You're not paying attention to what's going on over here. And what are those two things? But before I answer that question, but it should strike you, right, as we find something else here at the end as well. And that is that at the end, for the first time, we find, in fact, that Paro says something fascinating. He says, Chatasi apam, I have sinned. Paro has never admitted al chait, that he sinned before. Hatzadik, Hashem hatzadik, God is righteous, right? He's singing, Hashem elech, Hashem elech. Paro is getting up there and singing it, Hashem hatzadik. He's singing that song. And he's even worse than that. Va'ani va'ami harashaim. And we're wicked. We're evil. Wow. Right, something did change over here. That's for sure. Pharaoh, for the first time, is, in fact, I would call him. He sounds like a Yarei Shamayim. Interesting enough, he's a Yarei Shamayim. He's saying Hashem is a tzaddik and I am a rasha. He's made a judgment call upon himself. And then what he says Daven to Hashem, implore Hashem. And then Moshe Rabbeinu says back to him. Moshe says, no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the city because and daven. Right? Because why not? Why do I have to leave the city? Rashi tells us the reason why he has to leave the city is because there's Avodah Zarah in the city. Now, if that's true, then he should have been leaving by all of the plagues. Right? Why is he telling Paro that I'm leaving now? Okay, good question as well. Right? And in fact, we're told that he did leave by all the other plagues. Right, so then why specifically over here does Moshe have to tell Paro, I am leaving the city. I'm not doing it right away. And then he says the reason why Moshe says, because you have yet to see, according to Rashi, or you yet to fear Mipnei Hashem. You don't have Yiras Hashem. Right? You don't yet have Yiras Hashem, Mipnei Hashem Elokim. Interestingly enough. What's going on over here? Now, the Ramban actually learns the word terem tiraon, means, right, that the only reason why is because you have yet fearing Hashem, because it's before you're just doing this because you're scared. What is this going on? What does all of this mean? So there's an incredible idea, right, that I think this is presenting to us, which is that a lot of times, right, a person has incredible things that go on in his life. My life, other people's lives. And when those things happen, we get shooken up and we are willing to daven like we've never davened. We're willing to say things that we never did because we're practical, right? But then what happens, right after the thing happens, we're back to normal again, like it didn't happen. Oh, phew, so we're good now. We're fine. We forget that incredible sense. And the reason why we're able to do that, well, nothing changed. You had some great recognition that Hashem is running the world. But nothing changed. The reason is, you know why? Because it's leisam libo. Because we never really did anything to our heart. We didn't do any work with that, right? It's just fear talking. It's just pachad, right? We have this, somebody that has fear of Hashem. Fear of Hashem is understanding that Hashem is in control of the world. That will take them even afterwards. Even after the fact, right? Then they're going to go ahead and do the right thing here. When there's no danger, then if you're not a God-fearing, if you don't believe in Hashem, if you don't have that same awe, you're not going to do anything. Over here, right, there's nothing going on here. Wow, the last plague is over. Thank God, we're all good now. Moshe comes and says, you know what? There's going to be another plague. And God-fearing people should take it in. The average Egyptian is saying, you know what? We're good to go. Paro is saying we are good to go. Because that was last time. That was the last variation of Corona. Right? That was the Delta, and we cruised through that fine. We're good. It's just another one. We'll pass it. We'll survive it. We'll make it. We don't have to get hysterical. We don't have to start schlepping cattle into my house and sheep and dogs. Because it didn't come from Yiras Hashem. At the time, we'll be nervous. We'll be freaked out. We'll be screaming. We'll be praying. We'll be saying, Chatasi Hashem is not, but that's not coming from Yiras Hashem. Right? The only way it works is if you're a Yarei Hashem. That's the only thing before an act that will happen, that'll make you take it in, is if there's Yiras Hashem over there. Otherwise, you know what you are? You're somebody that's never some liba. You never put your heart into it. You never really did the avoda that you need to do. There's a fascinating thing, right, that we see over here. Paro goes ahead and hears the noise and that, and he acts on it. And he turns to Moshe, daven right over here for me right now. Moshe tells him it doesn't work. Now, why is Paro telling him daven right now? You know why? Because there's halacha in Shulchan Aruch. The Baruch Tam says this incredible idea, brilliant idea. He says there's halacha that when a guy is mevatel avodah zara, it's gone. It's not avodah zarah anymore. A guy had this big idol, right? And you want to use the idol to go ahead and use as a garden ornament or something like that. So the guy says, I don't bow down to this, I don't believe this anymore, then you could take that. You're allowed to have hana from it. It's not a problem at all, right? Similarly, right, he says, Paro, until now, he says, I understood, Moshe Rabbeinu, you couldn't daven in Mitzrayim, but now I was mevatel all the avodah zarah over here. I just said, I don't believe in this anymore. Hashem is right and I'm wicked. Right? You can daven in the city. Moshe Rabbeinu tells him, terem tiron. It's not coming from Yiras Hashem. It's just coming because you were scared, right? Because you were frightened. That's not called a bittul avodah zarah. The halach in Shulchan Aruch is that if you force a guy to be mevatel his avodah zarah, you hold a gun and say, guy, say that you don't believe in this anymore, right? Doesn't work. Right? Because under press, that's not real. Under duress, it doesn't work. Any duress, everybody will say anything to go ahead and get by. By the way, except for the Jewish people. You could force us, you can kill us, we won't deny Hashem. Right? By a yid, it works even under duress. Right? But by a guy, it doesn't work because it's just duress, it's not real. It never went to his heart. We are living in times when the world is Hashem is sending message after message, makkah after makkah, magefa after magefa, plague after plague. And it's the time for us, more than ever, we've got to start turning into our hearts. We have to come to the recognition that makas barad, makas bechoros, right? This is when it's coming from Shamayim, when there is no longer any question about where all of this is coming from and how the world is doing all of these things. That's the time when Hashem tells you, some libo, put it on your heart. Don't just be reactive to the situations that are happening, but do some internal work. I think it's such a powerful message for our times, particularly where we're at. So, Amir Hashem, we will all do that hard work. Amir Hashem, we will see the redemption, the Geula Shlema. And Amir Hashem, you guys will sponsor a weekly email and join us in our hard work over here. Subscribe to my weekly email as well, rabbischwartz@yahoo.com. Hit click, share, link. And Amir Hashem, we'll see you next week, hopefully here in Yerushalayim redeemed. Have a great Shabbos.